forward. I want, I want, oh, 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 I want, I want, oh, oh, oh,
Words manifest at the same time, man down before your next step, just chill. Get it planned out, it's hard to blend in at the same time, stand out. But who am I, just another inner city brother. Dope fiend for a mother. Pups got married, but the streets was his lover. Addicted to the alleys, well-known bun jumper. Addicted to the valleys, half moon, hard summer. Wildin' for the night, hard news, face puncher. Moet Chandon tap the top like a drummer. For those that we lost in the land of the young gunners, it's a privilege to reach this age and still living. Age where the average is dying in small digits. Walk the wrong block, get spent like a fidget. Pray the spirits find rest where the reapers can't visit. Ace I pray that the light comes and saves me. Oh, cause I swear I would take that ride this time to places I've dreamt about lately. Yeah, I got dreams in me too. Yeah, I pray that the light comes and saves me. Cause I swear I would take that ride this time to places I've dreamt about lately. I got dreams in me too. Oh, oh my, I want, oh my, I want, oh my, I want for you and me. Yeah. Oh my, I want, oh my, I want, oh give me, I want, oh my, I want, oh my, I want, oh my, I want for you and me. Oh my, I want, oh my, I want, oh give me, I want, oh my, I want, oh my, I want, ooh, oh my, I want, oh my, I want, for me.
Yeah, that's called The Light. It's off my new album. Yeah. I know I keep promising. Yo, listen, yeah. That's on my new album too, Jack. That's called The Light. Welcome to Society. Past, present, future. I'll be your host, Jamel Saladin. Today I want to explore the mechanics of the Federal Reserve. To be honest with you, I'm just finding out how this Federal Reserve works. I knew the history of the Federal Reserve in a sense, loosely, through different documentaries, barbershop talk, things of that nature there. But I want to go a little bit deeper because I have a theory that not only do most empires eventually fall, but the power has to shift to a new empire. Now, at first glance, it looks like that new empire very well might be a China or something like that. But I have a different theory. I actually don't think it's China. Not that they are not capable or financially strong. China is financially strong. They are militarily capable. But for some other reason, for some strange reason, there's a small nation the size of New Jersey over in the Levant kicking up dust. They only been here since 1948. They over there kicking up dust, and I'm not gonna count them out because of their viciousness. However, their viciousness might get them blown off the face of the planet, or if we were so lucky. But I don't think it's gonna go down like that. There's been more than a few reasons that should have happened already, and it hasn't. So I just do not count these people out. Good morning, Uncle Andy. Salute. I want to jump right into this thing here. Hopefully, my show is not more than 2 hours because I got things to do. I have things to do. All right. So let's just jump right into this, and hopefully everybody gets to learn something. I know I did. Start with a simple question. How did America start? A deep dive into the origins of America, from ancient civilizations and European exploration to revolutionary philosophy, central banking, and the enduring question: was the American dream real, or a story that drove the system forward? Let's go. So before the so-called America, this land was called America, you had the indigenous civilizations. Let me just stop right there. There's a group of melanated black Americans, blacks, whatever you want to call yourselves. If you like it, I love it. I don't care. But what I don't like is your ambitions to change history. Now, I know the white man lies about history. You don't have to tell me this. You don't have to try to offend me because I'm correcting you, telling me I'm reading the white man's such and such. That will get you nowhere. Because sometimes he's wrong, and then sometimes you're wrong, bro. Now, there's a group of melanated people over here that seem to believe the transatlantic slave trade was it's a small thing. It's a minuscule thing. Not a big thing, my youth. We was already here. Who's we? Who is we? Tell you something. I hate your rhetoric. It's disrespectful. Not only is it disrespectful to the indigenous people that were really here and a dominant group, as a dominant group, but it's also disrespectful to the kidnapped West Africans that died on the journey, that made it through the journey, ended up here, built up America. You got to knock it off. You just got to knock it off. We were not the dominant group here. Was there some West Africans here? Yes, we were here. There's evidence of that. Let me continue on. Before Europeans arrived, the land was already filled with complex societies. One group, the Iroquois Confederacy, had a sophisticated system of governance. Cities like Cahokia, near modern Illinois, had tens of thousands of people, larger than any European cities at the time. Across the continent, tribes maintained trade networks, laws, and spiritual systems. America didn't begin as empty land. It began as land already organized in different ways. I think that's what we need to keep. We need to keep that part of the narrative alive. If not, the younger Caucasian generations will not know this, and they may still be dominant, and then they will call this history a lie. They may be still dominant. I don't know what the future holds for America. We'll get into that by the end of the show. America's going through some transitions right now. However, all of us, no matter what race or national ID you're originally from, after you got your citizenship, must uphold the true history of America. That there were people already here. There were civilizations here. Like the Cahokia civilizations and tribes who had tens of thousands of people. They had a system already working. America's first city, Cahokia, existed around 600 to 14 CE. At its peak, 1050 to 1200 Common Era, it had 10,000 to 20,000 peoples. There's something called Monk's Mound. It's its largest structure and is bigger base than the Great Pyramid of Giza. What was its government and infrastructure? It was primarily a chiefdom, governance infrastructure as a central ruler, and his power was tied to religion and authorities. They had a central plaza for ceremonies and gatherings. Elite burial sites showing class structure. Their agriculture did consist of corn. I think that was the prominent crop in their agriculture that they traded across what we now call North America. Decline around 1300s, and those reasons include environmental strain, political instability, and resource depletion. It's funny that they never teach you these things in high school. You understand? It's just some Native American running around with paint on his face and some fucking homemade Speedos, feathers everywhere. Do not leave the white man to tell the story. Shit will get crazy fast. Like, wait, what happened? Cahokia was a city with infrastructure run by a governance system built by people with organization, belief systems, and power structures. It wasn't primitive. It was a different kind of advance. The people were Native Americans, which we call them now, the true Mississippian culture, descendants of populations who had been in North America for thousands of years. Samantha, what's good? She says, what's up? What's up, Samantha? Am I reading that right? Yeah. Samantha Stockton. Okay. If I ever say anybody's name wrong, please take your time before you curse me out. You're going to curse me out. I've been cursed out before. You can't read, stupid! These words are kind of small. What are you coming at me for like that? European exploration in early colonies, 1400s to 1600s. Columbus reached the Caribbean in 1492, opening the door for European expansion. Amerigo Vespucci explores South America and identifies it as a new world. A German map maker names the land America after him. American Vespucci, 1499 to 1507. 100 years later, 1607, Jamestown, first permanent English colony. Driven here for profit. So 1607, white man comes here on a mission to do what he does, which is ultimately fuck shit up. Plymouth Colony, 1620, founded for religious reasons. 1620, colonies funded by companies and investors. Well, I didn't write it down here, but it little piece of history is 1619 is when the first black slaves were officially indoctrinated into which would become the predominantly all black servitude. That happened in 1619. So many black Americans, when I say black, I mean melanated, that were born here on this land of North America, and their parents, they call us foundational black Americans. Many of us consider this the true date of America, because we helped build this motherfucker from 1619. I think that was the year they decided, all right, enough with this white servitude stuff. Matter of fact, we got a deal. If you want some land, you understand? If we could get more whites over here, if we could get some people over here. I think they was having a hard time because there was already some people here. And I don't think they was going out like that. But I don't also think these people had gunpowder yet. So shit wasn't about to go down with bows and arrows. They did their best though. Do remember the indigenous ancestors of this land. A moment of silence. Indeed. 1620, Plymouth Colony, founded for religious freedom. Colonies funded by companies and investors. Companies and investors. I'm pretty sure one of those companies was King James's brother. However, this is not a story about that. We'll get back to that later, if we will. The key drivers were wealth, which were triggered by tobacco, land, and trade, right? Come over here, get some land, grow some crops, trade those crops. Religion, escaping religious control. You want to come over here and make your own religion up, some silly shit like Jehovah's Witnesses? Have at it. Have at it. Do what you do, baby. Huh? What happened, Jehovah's Witnesses? Wasn't your founder a fucking pedophile? That's neither here nor there, because this is not a video about that. My fault. But he was. Can't just say, oh, that was the beginning, but we don't move like that no more. Shut up. Shut up. It's a weird fucking religion where most of the females think if they never give up their vagina, they'll always be a virgin. So they let a lot of guys through the back door. I know. You're like, yo, what fucking video is this? It might not want to be one you might want to be on. You might want to hit the road. Go somewhere down the dial. I'm not here to play with you. So this is very early. America at this stage is a business venture where people can experiment and... My wife sent me a text that she loves me. She feeling guilty about something, or does she want something? All right, let's keep going. The Enlightenment and the Revolution. It amazes me how all these Europeans all of a sudden the Age of Enlightenment, the Renaissance. This is not a video about them being in destitute for hundreds of years and having to be saved by the Moors, because I don't know why. I had some people come back. Well, they weren't living in filth. Yeah, they were. They were living in fucking filth. And Arabian Moors had to show them the way. What the fuck are you guys doing? Have you showered today? Today? My good man, I haven't showered in weeks. Man, get your silly ass in a fucking tub somewhere, bro. This is why we got fleas. These same people, once they took a bath, came to their fucking senses, all of a sudden, they are experts in the area of philosophy and life. What? Anyway, the philosophy shift. Think it's like John Locke and Montesquieu introduced ideas that transform America from a land to an idea about how society should be run. Natural rights, life, liberty, property. Natural rights is funny because they talk that natural rights shit, but they definitely believed in slaves. How delusional do you have to be? Or just primitive? Where you can't see, like, okay, we are both humanoids. We're both human, but you are a different shade, right? Even if we haven't discovered the true exact science of why yet, we can kind of see you that shade, I'm this shade. But to say, like, you guys are not even human, is fucking bananas. Because not only did some Caucasians do that to blacks, but there was Jews that did it to everybody else. If you was white or black, they didn't give a shit. You're the goyim. And this is crazy. This is crazy. That it's not like, if it was one individual, it would be understandable. But like, nah, that's just fucking Jeffro. He thinks like that. He's the town wacko. It wasn't one guy. It was groups and the whole demographics of people who thought other people were not humans. These people still exist on this earth, by the way. I just want you to know that. Anyway. They talk that natural right shit. The life, the pursuit of happiness and liberty. We want property. So 1776, they want to break away from the UK, from Britain. The American Revolution and the Declaration of Independence established a radical idea people can break away from power and form their own system. That's crazy. Dr. York tried that. He is now locked up for life in a federal penitentiary. I'll be talking to his son soon. I have spoken to his son. We'll get it straightened out. We'll get it straightened out. But he definitely tried that. It did not work well for him. He was brought up on what I have to believe trumped up charges, hauled off to jail for life. However, the white man said, "You are born with rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not from kings, from being human. Okay. So what happened to the black man? Oh, we said human. You guys are not human. Fucking people. Then in 1787, the U.S. Constitution created a structured government with checks, balances, and individual rights. A system designed on paper first, then lived out. Ideally, freedom and self-governance, opportunity for all, and a nation built on that idea has been overall contradictory, pretty much. However, I'm going to say it might be, I haven't been to a lot of different nations, right? So I make it work for me here. That's all I can really say. You got to kind of like pay attention to shit here. See how things work. And then once you don't spend a lot of time expressing your frustration if it's not going to get anywhere. That's what I do, right? I'm not about to sit here and be doing all this crazy ranting where I have to play the game to get what I need to get and then do what I need to do. But like I said before, they did talk that freedom for all business and natural rights, and yet slavery existed. The indigenous land was taken away. Rights were not equal for the indigenous people, for the Oriental people, for the white woman, for anybody else. Only the white man. So if you ever come over here and you want to know, yo, why you talking like that? Like you Archie Bunker. Because I am, motherfucker. I'm the reincarnation of Archie Bunker and George Jefferson. Stupid. Because they just seen things how they saw them. I don't believe in no political correct stupid shit. None of that. You see it, you say it how you see it. And that's just it. It's crazy now that the educators, they don't want to teach certain topics because it would make another group of people feel guilty. That is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard. And I hope these people you're trying to protect don't come across my channel, because I will tell it like it is. America started as a contradiction, a nation built on freedom while not giving it to anyone. Crazy. So, now that they had their independence, I want to get into how they were going to control their economics and their finances. And the topic of having a central bank came up multiple times. The first central bank was called the First Bank of the United States, created by Alexander Hamilton. It was 20% government owned, 80% private investors, including foreign capital from Britain and the Netherlands, which is dangerous. And this is why Hamilton's bank was controversial, because fear of centralized power in one place obviously was a concern. Foreign investors like the Netherlands and Britain could buy shares and ultimately buy influence. Jefferson and Madison argue it's not in the Constitution. However, Alexander Hamilton, he kept on pushing it and saying a national debt was a good thing. If it was not excessive, it would be a national blessing, because he felt like they would gain trust. America would gain trust with the lenders, and then they would always have this money. So it was a good thing to be in a little bit of debt so that you can exhibit that you were debt worthy, or should I say credit worthy. Sidebar. This is what I say even today when I said we issued these bonds, and we're going to get to bonds in a second, but we didn't put any type of requirements on how many bonds we could sell to a foreign nation or a foreign entity. It just didn't make sense, if I'm being totally honest. Give me a second. I don't know if she's bored at work. Let's go back. The second bank, central bank, the second bank, it was called the Second Bank of the United States, had the same concept but with a new charter. But this was destroyed by Andrew Jackson in the bank war. Then in 1836 to 1913, there was no central bank for 77 years, but there seemed to be a display of chaotic banking and frequent financial panics. So as we know, after the secret bankers meeting on Jekyll Island that we'll talk about soon, 1913, we had a Federal Reserve System that was created. Right? Just a little history there before we get into things. Let's go back to Hamilton's bank. How was it funded? Hamilton didn't use his own money. He built a public-private financial partnership from day one, where 20% was government funded. Funded via tax revenue, Revolutionary War bonds, and government credit, partly funded by debt, not cash on hand. 80% was private investors who bought shares using gold, silver, and U.S. government bonds, meaning people could buy into the bank using government debt itself. Foreign capital, money from Britain and the Netherlands, flowed in through investors buying shares. Dangerous. Hamilton's real strategy tied wealthy investors to the success of the U.S., turned government debt into something valuable, create a stable currency system, centralized financial power. However, Hamilton created a system where debt became money, private investors gained influence over public finance, and the government depended on financial markets. Now, let's get into some interesting stuff. Had to give you the groundwork for what we really came to talk about. There was a panic in 1907. After that panic, it became clear that America's decentralized banking system was unstable, leading to frequent financial crises. The nation needed a more resilient structure. In 1910, a highly secretive meeting was held at an exclusive resort in Jekyll Island, Georgia. Why did it have to be so secret? If everything was on the up and up, why did it have to be so secret? Let's keep going. A small group of influential bankers and politicians operating under aliases gathered to design a new central banking system shielded from public and political interference. The key architects were Paul Warburg, a German-born banker with deep knowledge of European central banking. He was primary he was the primary intellectual force behind the Federal Reserve structure. Carter Glass, a Virginia congressman, he championed the legislation ensuring a decentralized system with regional banks to gain political support. Carter Glass. May his name never be known, only for his traitorous behavior, colluding with people who wanted to sabotage America and ultimately take control and suck America dry. Carter Glass, may he be looked at as the deformed imp in 300 who gave up the weak spot of the 300 and Leonidas and how to get to them. That's Carter Glass. Then there was H. Parker Willis, a prominent economist. He played a crucial role in drafting the detailed provisions of the Federal Reserve Act. We're about to get into the Federal Reserve Act. I want to look at it. Just had to give that preliminary ramble. But a lot of times I think, we couldn't think of anything better? But I'm going to be honest with you. One of my main thoughts have been, why did we go to a German Jew? Now, at first, it looks like we went to Germany for answers. But upon more research, I realized that is not what happened at all. Before we get into that, and we'll talk about the Warburg family, I have to give you a history of the creation of the Jewish financial expert. For it was with the help of Christianity that created these experts. For centuries, legal and social exclusion shaped the economic roles of Jewish communities in German lands, steering them towards finance and trade. They were excluded from guilds. Craft guilds in German cities were not neutral trade associations. They functioned as Christian, religious, and fraternal organizations tied to specific saints, requiring members to swear Christian oaths, participate in guild masses and processions, and adhere to Christian moral codes. Jews, as non-Christians, were categorically barred from joining. This exclusion had dual roots: religious discrimination, economic protectionism. Church councils such as the Third Lateran Council of 1179 and local ecclesiastical rules promoted segregation between Christians and Jews to prevent contamination of the faith. All these fucking years and we're still primitive beings. The whole entire age of Pisces was fruitless. as far as the evolution of man's spirituality and consciousness. Fruitless fucking imbeciles. Neanderthals. Always thinking minuscule. Only until 1964 did right here on this plot of land that we call North America did the people decide maybe everybody needs civility. Huh? Take a vote. How many votes that these people should have civil rights? I don't see the problem, Bob. Alright. Fuck it. Give them civil rights. 1964. Are you shitting me? Grown children. That's what they are. Just grown idiots. The guild simply reflected and enforced this by limiting membership to baptized Christians. All right, so guess what? There'll be no trading for the Jews here. Guilds held monopolies on production and sales in their trades, admitting Jews would have introduced competition, so Christian artisans and merchants actively blocked them to protect their livelihoods. As a result, Jews could not legally practice most skilled crafts. So that eliminated blacksmithing, baking, weaving, carpentry. In the open market, though some Jewish artisans work informally with Jewish communities or exempted niches. They was also denied land ownership. Jews were also prohibited from owning agricultural land or becoming peasants, farmers in most German territories. This stemmed primarily from their unique legal status as servi Camere Regis, servants of the royal chamber, formalized by Emperor Frederick II in 1236, building on earlier imperial policies. Under this system, Jews were considered direct property of the emperor, who claimed them as taxable resources for his treasury. Peace to the gods is in the building. Peace to the gods and earths. Original man is in the building. We are over here talking about the Jews. Continuing on, because they were not full feudal subjects, they lacked the rights of Christian peasants or nobles to hold or inherit land under the prevailing mineral system. Remortgaging or transferring land often required Christian oaths that Jews could not take. Church-influenced laws further discouraged or forbade non-Christians from tilling Christian soil or hiring Christian laborers. God damn! Christians was out here wilding. Oh, how the tables have turned. Yo, Christians didn't want you to touch the goddamn dirt with your shovel. That's crazy. No. Do you have a license? Do you have a license? You cannot do these things here. You cannot do these things here. Are you Christian? Bro, I'm just trying to grow some potatoes. You cannot grow these things. What? Practical risks reinforce this. Frequent expulsions and the inability to rely on Christian farm hands made agriculture precarious and unattractive even where technically possible. Can I talk to the black man for a second? I think we could learn something from these Ashkenazi Jews. Because in fact, they are not related to any original Hebrews at all. However, they have committed to an identity. And they wear that shit well, huh? These fucking Khazarians from the Caucasus Mountains came down from the mountains and, what shall we do? And these Christian Germans was like, you can't do shit. Not in these spare parts. And they still, you understand? They still made a way because it is a mindset. Now I want to say this. I think if black people, and I'm talking to my younger, and by younger I still mean my age and below, right? If we would stop being whores for money, right, and realize our power, there's always going to be one or two whores that will work with the enemy. But what I'm talking about is us collectively coming together like a hive mind and having codes that we will not break and noticing our ability, right? And we need different abilities. Everyone cannot be a fucking poet. We don't need that many poets. We don't need that many people telling fucking jokes. What we do need is some professionals that will do business the right way, be on time, respect the contract, and we start spending money with each other, because we are not the first people to be in this predicament. However, if we're trying to win an award on how long we could stay down and oppressed, right? At this point, nobody even has to touch us. We're just locked in on stupidity, ignorance. We can only break that amongst ourselves by renouncing, even if it's the popular thought to be cool. Yo, black people's the cool niggas. We don't take no shit. Yo, we'll go to jail for whatever niggas know. I'll bust my gun. Yo, shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? We gotta make that dude right there feel fucking weird. Yo, shut up. This conversation is not even for you right now, bro. If you want to go to jail, I will drive you down there my fucking self. Right? Talk the fucking police into just letting you. Come on, Saladin. What you doing? You know we can't let him in if he ain't commit a crime, bro. I just taunt the shit out of you right there until you box me in the face. There you go, officer. You seen it. I want to press charges. Lock this motherfucker up for life. Come on, Saladin. You know he gonna be out in a week. I don't give a shit. I'll take it. Lock him up for a week. I got an important meeting with the rest of the black community who really want to change society. And I don't want this fucking riffraff hanging outside the meeting talking dumb shit. Because we are about to change our mindset. Unsidebar. All of this behavior done by white Christians to the Ashkenazi Jews who was masquerading as another people, it pushed them into a niche area, right? Because they couldn't do anything fucking else, so they had to concentrate on where they could concentrate, which happened to be going back to what they used to do, which is exchange money. Money changers. And working amongst themselves. Forced into finance, Christian laws forbidding usury among Christians created a niche for Jewish money lending. This, combined with other exclusions, channeled many into urban commerce, trade, and finance. So if you want to know why today the Jewish man is so... he's not lucky. Let's get that shit out the way. But it appears that his presence is dominant in many areas of life. I will give them that they worked for it. I'm not going to take that away. I may not like things they do. I'm not going to take that away. Because I'm going to be quite honest with you. We're all human. I have no idea what type of shenanigans will happen if once the black people become dominant and they have all the money and they control all the area. Who fucking knows what type of shenanigans will take place? We've only seen when the white man has done it. We've seen when the Ashkenazi Jew does. What do we think that a higher level of consciousness all of a sudden will shift once you're human too? I don't fucking trust you either right now. You out here lying just like he lying to get a point across. You won't even tell the true history. He's not telling the true history. You making up your own fucking history to combat what he's saying. So why am I to believe that you would do anything different if you were the dominant holder of money that ran the economy and had the dominant networking groups? I don't know if anything would be different, because at the end of the day, we are all humanoids. Put nothing past any of yous. Now, that being said, let's get to the Warburg family, because we know they are Ashkenazi Jews. Now we know the history that kind of created this, pushed these Ashkenazi Jews into finance. So I want to talk about a guy named Paul Warburg, who, like I said before, was a key architect of the Federal Reserve System. And he came from one of Europe's most established banking dynasties, M.M. Warburg and Company, an independent German private bank. The families, here's the thing about, let me not say that yet. Their original name was not Warburg. They came from a town, Warburg. The first certifiable ancestor appears in 16th century Westphalia. His name was Simon van Kassel. He was a pawnbroker in the town of Warburg. Jews of that period found themselves barred from professional guilds and from farming, and by default they turned to money lending. 1798, Moses Marcus Warburg and Gerson Warburg founded M.M. Warburg. This remains largely a family-owned business. The core business focused on private banking, asset management, and corporate investment banking for the wealthy. The bank's history, spanning over 2 centuries, saw it become a significant player in German and international capital markets. During the Nazi era, the bank was Aryanized. So that means if they were Jewish, their property and their assets were seized and stripped. So the bank was Aryanized, leading family members to immigrate and establish influential financial institutions abroad. So this is this is important. This is important when it comes to the Federal Reserve. Because like I said to you before, I often wondered, why would the United States go to fucking Germany for advice But that's not how it happened. Paul Warburg was a German Jew. However, the Warburg family was humongous. And they were similar to the Rothschild family, whereas not so much the 5 sons, but the descendants and the children started to marry into other prominent and wealthy families. And some of these families were in different countries. Russia, right? They were in different countries. Britain and America. So there was a set of Warburgs that were in America already. And again, part of the reason for them even leaving Germany was not only marriage, but do remember the temperament for Jews in Germany. It started to change and become more hostile. Let us continue on. So let's talk about Paul Warburg. Why would he be considered as an architect for the American financial system? That's a good question. Outside of being part of a member of the family of one of the largest banks, not the most elite. At this time, the Rothschilds are still the most elite in that area. But they are up on the totem pole. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if we know, because we never had this conversation. But Paul Warburg was not respected amongst his own friends and family as a fiscally responsible person. They did not respect him as a financial expert. I'm talking about his own family. He was sort of like a playboy. To go party amongst the elite, you understand, like a representative for the true strong pillars of the family, which would be his older brother Max Warburg and some others. In fact, his nickname was Piggy. Despite his pivotal role in creating the Federal Reserve, Paul Warburg had a reputation for being rather irresponsible with money, earning him the nickname Piggy amongst friends. End quote. "Excuse me, Mr. Rockefeller," he once quipped after a skiing collision. "I'm Piggy Warburg, and I promise to marry you in the morning." His family, though charmed, often shook their heads at his business ventures. Once, when a colleague encouraged young Warburg to invest in a new radio network, his father reportedly told him, "I love you dearly, but if you're so irresponsible with money as all that, I'm going to put you on an allowance." This is the fucking guy that they went to. Huh? They went to fucking Fredo, bro. Huh? I'm not like dumb. I'm smart. And I want respect. You're my little brother. Fredo gonna do this. And Fredo gonna do that. It turns out his father was wrong, because that colleague was William S. Paley and the new venture was CBS. Yeah. Either way, how the fuck was you called to a meeting if you're not even respected amongst your own? But Piggy Paul Warburg was part of an elite banking family, which was becoming quite the international, getting respect. Again, not as much as the Rothschild and international banking, but they were known. And again, you have to respect the beginnings. And it comes to a point where someone somewhere has to sacrifice and say, I will stop the stupid shit and I will reset for the people who were born after me, my children, my grandchildren, this, that, and the third. Right? So that could be you listening to me today. I'm talking to the black man right now. I want to encourage a shift in thinking. For not us to accept any old thing that would not contribute to the elevation of our status on this planet. And we can do it with numbers amongst ourselves. That's what I want to say to you. Now, continuing on. I would like to talk to you about the Federal Reserve. Before I do that, my what's the name's out of place? Hold on. I thought I had another card in here. I should have another card. Well, I can use this one. Alright, that being said, I want to remind you in 1910, a highly secretive meeting was held on Jekyll Island. Paul Warburg was there. And I guess America wanted advice on a new system for the United States. Again, if I had to take a guess, I'm going to say it was not only his religious culture, but his family education indoctrinating him in this religious culture, Paul Warburg, that educated him on the intricacies of and the understandings of finance. You cannot complain about something that you don't understand. You have to go back and understand what it is that you're complaining about. Or at least attempt to understand it. But if you complain about something that you don't understand, you're going to be doing that in a loop forever. Because you don't know how to stop it. Because you don't know how it works. And this was enlightening to me. So, in 1913, the Federal Reserve Act is passed. So, Congress agrees on the creation of the Federal Reserve. But the Federal Reserve is not an actual government entity, but it is part of the American government's infrastructure. It is not an actual government entity. It does not answer really to anyone. So walk with me. The president is actually the one who elects and chooses the Federal Reserve chairperson. Now, if we want to say, okay, who does the Federal Reserve actually answer to? That would be Congress. So already we're seeing some type of irregular flow of how things works, right? In my opinion, I would have thought that since the very first creation of the Federal Reserve, Congress had to take a vote on it, then maybe they would continue to take a vote on who would be the chairman of the Federal Reserve. But that is not what happens, which should be our first sign of some type of a red flag. Let's call it a red flag. It should be our first sign of a red flag. Because that would probably make sense to me and you, right? Like, nah, since this entity was created by Congress, let them continue to vote on who will be the chairman every year. No, that's not what happens. The president elects the chairman. However, once he's elected and once he's appointed, let's use that word because it's not really elected, he's appointed. Once he's appointed, the president cannot just fire him willy-nilly just because he's in disagreement with him about interest rates. And we'll get to interest rates in a second. Right now, I just want to talk about I want to unravel the misunderstandings of this whole Federal Reserve. To do that, let's just focus on the part it plays. Why are you here? What do you do? Well, the Federal Reserve actually facilitates trade. Trade of what? Trade of debt to America. I'm going to say this slow so you can understand this. So, I said earlier that the Federal Reserve is not really a government entity, but it is under the governance, it is part of the American governance. So, when we do need money as a government, we have something called a treasury. And the treasury will say, yo, we need this much money. We want to sell some debt. The Federal Reserve says, take it easy. I just had breakfast. Let me wipe the sides of my mouth. I'll be with you in a second. You want to sell debt? Did I hear somebody say they want to sell debt? And they want to buy a new bike? Yeah, I didn't say nothing about buying a new bike. I said I wanted to sell debt. Okay. Ixnay on the bike conversation. Let's move along with you wanting to sell debt. I'm your guy. Duh. The Federal Reserve now takes that debt, which is called bonds. And it sells it, not the Treasury, right? Because I know what you're going to be thinking in a second. You're like, yo, why couldn't the fucking Treasury just sell? Why couldn't the Treasury Department just sell the fucking bonds to the bank? Why do we need the federal? That's what you're going to ask in a second. And my answer to you is you would have to ask the Warburg family and jackass Mr. Glass, because they the ones who designed this shit. Nonetheless, the Treasury Department does not reach out to the banks and say, yo, you want to buy some bonds? You want to sell some bonds? You want to buy some bonds? Nah. We got the Federal Reserve for that. Now, they sell the bonds to the banks with a promise that the bank will get interest on that bond. The Federal Reserve buys the bonds back from the bank. This is the craziest shit. One of the craziest things I've probably heard. From the bank. The money it uses to buy the bonds back from the bank is created out of thin air. It is not earned, is what I'm telling you. It's not earned. It's just created. We're going to buy it back. And we'll hold this bond. In case I want to sell it again, or in case I just want to hold it. And the process continues. Now, let me read my slide. Treasury issues bonds. Banks buy at an auction. That auction, you got all these fancy words, right? So I just want for the people who had no idea what the fuck was ever going on, because there's language and then there's language. There's different languages for whatever field industry you go in. What I have learned is many of these words that they'll use a specialty word in one field is the same word. We're going to get into one of those words in a second. It's the same word in another industry. So the curse of the English language is that you can have one word that means so many different things. But there are several different words that mean the exact same thing. So when they say the banks buy at an auction, they buy these bonds. This is the Federal Reserve that's selling these banks these bonds. Then the Fed buys from the banks, and the Fed holds and remits interest. The Treasury creates the debt. They create the debt because they say, I want some money. I'm going to go knock on his door when he finished lunch. Who? Whose door are you going to knock on? The Federal Reserve Chairman. Oh, okay. Tell him I want some money. And he should facilitate this trade of my debt, which is in the form of a bond, $1,000. And if he could sell it to a bank on my behalf, he's going to say yes. And then somebody's going to buy it and they're going to hold it, hoping to get 1,000 plus 5%. The market owns the debt. The Fed moves the liquidity around that debt. The Fed is not charged. Okay, I said it the way I said it because, and I wrote it a certain way, but sometimes I don't like I like to break things down to like a third grade level. But I have to remember who's in the room, so everybody doesn't like things at a collegiate level, and everybody don't like things at a third grade level. So I said it at a third grade level, and there's nothing wrong with understanding at a third grade level because that's how I understand, and that's how I teach. But I will also now say it on a collegiate level, so everybody just chill out if you're not understanding what I'm talking about, because I already explained to you that there's two different languages going on, and there's words involved purposely meant to throw you off so you don't understand. But we will go over some of these words today. Don't worry about it. The important part is that you understand what is taking place, the confusion that is taking place. And I want you to ask after seeing this video, then why the fuck do we even need them? That's what I want you to ask. The Treasury creates the debt. The market owns the debt. The Fed moves the liquidity around that debt. The Fed is not in charge of issuing bonds. They're not. That's the Treasury's job. The Fed's real power is controlling how money flows through the system. Treasury sells bonds to banks, manages debt policy funded by taxes and borrowing. Federal Reserve runs the auction systems, moves money, holds bonds, sets short-term interest rates. Bank and investors buys the bonds, earn interest, receive liquidity from the Fed when it buys the bonds back. Congress created the Fed, provides oversight. Fed chair testifies regularly. Who governs the Fed? The Fed chair authority. No single individual is the Federal Reserve chair's boss. They operate within a system of checks and oversight designed to foster independence. Congress holds ultimate legislative authority, created the Fed, can change its laws, and regularly calls the chair to testify. I just seen somebody in the chat say, let's bring gold back, right? Now, Congress could, if we all, every last one of us probably stop falling for this Republican Democrat bullshit, and we would say, okay, we need to get off of this Federal Reserve bullshit, pay back what we owe, and get out of here, right? And that would have been perfect just maybe fucking 2 presidencies ago, right? And now we just keep on pushing the limits with the debt. You know, I think it was 17 trillion just a blink of an eye ago, and now it's at 39 trillion. And I think if we stop spending, and by stop spending, I mean stop. Here's the thing that I noticed with both sides, and I don't believe in any side, so it's like a game that's being played. When the Democrats get office, they give a lot of money to programs, this, that, and the third, and then the Republicans are going to say, this is why America's going broke, because we're giving the poor people, right? You got all these fancy schmancy programs for the black man, teaching them silly shit down there at that school. And this is ruining America. And that was a slight portion, not a lot of Charlie Kirk's rhetoric, but it was some of his rhetoric that a lot of programs for minorities and shit was ruining America, plus the black man was ruining America. And that's why I didn't rock with Charlie Kirk, because it was just rhetoric that he could have elaborated way more. Like, if you're going to shoot down one demographic and a small, because that these criminals from a certain particular demographic does not represent the entirety of that demographics, right? So if you want to talk about the black people bringing America down, that can't be true, because not all black people even think like that. So what the fuck are you even talking about? So to me, you were out here spreading propaganda That's why I didn't fuck with Charlie Kirk and didn't give a fuck if he got shot in the face or the neck or the nuts. I don't give a shit. He wasn't an American hero of mine. He was somebody out here pushing borderline white nationalism propaganda. If you're going to tell the truth, tell the whole fucking truth. We are not the problem. But that's what happens again when Democrats get office. Then when the Republicans get office, now you got the Democrats sitting over there saying, look, these motherfuckers want to go to war all the time, right? So what we have to do at some point is stop the spending. And I'm not saying that we don't need a military, and I'm definitely not saying that we don't need some programs to help out our citizens at times, but there are always a group of people who will take advantage of these situations. These are not morally good people. These are not fiscally financial people. These are like evil fucking villains that are in these groups that want to push it to the limit. So if there is a budget allocated to the military, in their head is like, yo, let's break this motherfucker. Let's tear it to the walls, fall off while we can. There's always that fucking guy, but he's on both sides. There's another guy to his equivalent on the Democratic side that as soon as they get in office, he's running around trying to get programs started just so he can steal from the fucking pot. You understand? Starting all type of programs that don't need to be funded at all for stupidity, and they need $500 million for this, that, and the third. Their only thought is, how am I going to fucking take this shit to the bank? And when it all goes upside down, now they don't blame these one or two individuals or point out these isolated incidences. What they do is they blame the entirety of the what they were part of, right? So it's like, okay, it was programs that ran up the debt. Well, what programs? What particular programs are you talking about? It doesn't matter. It was all these government programs. We can't continue to give these people free breakfast. We can't. And vice versa. It's like, no, it's the neocons, man. They want to go to war at the time, right? And I'm not going to say there's not any validity. There is fucking validity, because if the Pentagon was truly being transparent, then there wouldn't always be some application to black out this, that, and the third under the guise of fucking NSA, national security. Knock it the fuck off. Tell us what you're spending the money on. So we see these people, it's just two wings on the same fucking bird, which leaves us as American citizens to have to stand up for ourselves and say, fuck all you politicians, right? We the people, that is the true Make America Great Again. That is the true Make America Great Again. We don't fall for your fucking shenanigans. We actually thought you were going to bring jobs back and manufacture all that shit you said, and then you went off and gave Israel a fucking hand job in public, by the way, and just left us being soiled on. Unbelievable. Unfucking believable. Then you actually want to start all type of legislation where we are censored and can't talk. And if I catch you talking and not supporting the war, you're going to jail. Funguli, huh? Go bite your father. You fucking jack off. Arrest me yourself and see if I don't beat your fucking ass. You come down here and arrest me, you jack off. Congress could stop this if they voted to end the Fed. Would that happen? You want my honest answer? I think these banks have so much money. I think in reality, these banks have so much money and they wouldn't want things stopped. We have to understand they have their own military, right? They have their own group of legal people that can run around with guns and get away with shit because of their networking within every last agency of government, which makes these people very dangerous. So if they don't, and of course I'm saying something that is conspiracy right now, but I'm also saying something that is logical and reasonable at the same time. Right? We've heard that BlackRock has weapons, and I don't know how true it is. They say they even have fighter jets. I don't know where the fuck they would keep these things, but I've also heard the thing about about the Vatican, that the Vatican has an army. I don't know. All I know is that I do know that these are humanoids, and I know if you let somebody manage a fucking $1 trillion, he's not gonna have a bunch of suckers around him. And he may not take no for an answer lightly. So if Israel has the smarts to create a coalition that would send a representative to every member of Congress and Senate and just focus on them and give them whatever they wanted in exchange for influence, why wouldn't a bank that has been around for 300 years, 200 years, that is very powerful, not have the ability to send their own influence to a legislative member if they voted to stop the Federal Reserve? That being said, it doesn't mean that we as the United States citizens should not try if that's what we want to do. It is very hard to have these type of conversations because a lot of times now the only way we know how to conversate is through social media, and then they can censor certain topics. And that is why I say subscribe to my channel, because I just decided I'm going to say what the fuck I want to say. Whether there's 2 people watching, 1 person watching, 5 people come back and watch later on, I don't give a shit. I'm going to say what needs to be said. That's it. I know what YouTube wants me to say. YouTube wants me to play this game of what's in the algorithm. And I know how to play that game, and I've played it, right? I've gotten 80,000 fucking views on one fucking video because I'm playing their dumbass game. And where does that get me? It gets me feeling like a sucker because I shouldn't be talking about that stupid shit y'all want me to talk about. That's why you want me to talk about it. You don't want to focus on the things I want to talk about. People should know. I want to talk about things that people should know, like the understanding of how this Federal Reserve System works, one of them. Right? Declassified projects that you guys worked on, like Stargate, where you use psychics. I want to talk about that type of stuff so that people know that they have psychic abilities and they could hone in on that. Right? Never mind this sucker shit we walking around doing. Let's focus on some other things. Now, let's finish this video up. Congress holds the ultimate legislation authority. Created the Fed, can change its laws and regularly calls for the chair to testify. The president appoints the chair and other governors, but cannot dictate day-to-day decisions or remove them without cause. The Fed board. The chair is one voice among a group called the Board of Governors, right? Key decisions are made via votes, not individual decrees. The chair is independent, but Congress provides direct oversight, making the law the ultimate authority. Allegedly. So let's talk about the Board of Governors. The Federal Reserve Board of Governors consists of 7 members, including the chair, who are appointed to long staggered terms to insulate them from political pressure. They govern by overseeing the system, not as an elected politician or state leaders. It's very funny that they would call themselves the Board of Governors. I found that very funny because when I was studying word magic, I know that govern meant to steer, and meant involved the mind, right? For like mentality. So govern meant ultimately was to govern the mind. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Now, one thing I noticed is that this is the King James Version, by the way, I think edited in 1605. But there was another version by St. Jerome called the Vulgate. And in that version, I'm pretty sure it said, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against governors and against powers, against the rulers of the darkness. I'm pretty sure it said that. Governors are always coming up in conversation. They govern by overseeing the system, not as elected politicians or state leaders. What? So they are not officially a part of any department in government. No. But they are attached to the framework somehow of our governance. Yes. They are like the consultants that have a badge to walk in your building and do work with you, and may sit at a cubicle next to you. You get to know this person over a period of time, right? And it feels like y'all all work for the same people. However, the Federal Reserve is like, nah, I appreciate, you treat me like family. But in all actuality, I am not part of the government, the American government at all. I don't want that to get misconstrued. I'm just here to oversee the system. What? Yeah, I gotta make sure this shit is running right. I'll say which interest rate should be. Key responsibilities: vote on interest rate policy, guide national monetary policy, oversee the banking system. This is fucking crazy, bro. This is the craziest shit I have actually heard. You're not part of the government. Nah. But you guide the national monetary policy? Correct. What? Yeah, I know, man. I know. I'm just lucky like that. You know what I'm saying? I never was an athlete in school. Shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? Let's let me think for a second. Please. Shut up. Appointment process. Presidential appointment. for the chairman, Senate confirmation, and they serve 14-year terms. Fucking crazy, bro. This is. Now, remember one of those words I was telling you a second, like, yo, you may not understand. So when they start talking real fast and they start using bond yields, and you're like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck that is. Let me look for a cat video. That's my thing. You understand? I want to laugh a little bit, joke around. This nerd motherfucker. Now you offended. You start throwing out ad hominem attacks on people because they got a little bit more understanding than you got. It never occurred to you to open up your fucking smartphone and just look up the word. No, you get offended. You start looking for a low-hanging fruit. Chicks in bikinis. Stupid shit. What is a yield? A yield is how much money you make from a bond. You buy a bond for $1,000, it pays you $50 a year, your yield is 5%. Does that not sound like interest to everybody else? But maybe they didn't want it that simple for you to understand because they didn't really want your inclusion in what was going on. Maybe they preferred the purposely created misconfusion on purpose. Listen, this is Jamel. What are you doing? This is what they saying to me. Yo, bro, we'll blow your YouTube channel up if you just go talk about this other shit. Look, there's war going on right now. You can talk about that right now. If I wanted to, I could shut this shit down, put in a new title with Trump and Iran, all that shit, and you're gonna see the numbers fly. I swear to God, I do it all the time. I just play games. I end the video. Oh, I had 4,000 people. Fuck that shit. I'll take 200 people to have a real conversation. Keep your money, YouTube. Want your bullshit money? Your views. You pay me in views. You pay me in trinkets and fucking IOUs. Any old way. It's not like I'm getting some big check from you on the 21st. I get a bullshit check from you on the 21st. So there's no reason I should be compromising my principles not to have real conversations with the people. The key rule: yield moves opposite of price. Prices go up, yields go down. Prices go down, yields go up. Supply and demand. What the Fed controls interest rates really means. When people say they mean the Fed sets the federal funds rates, the rate banks charge each other for overnight loans. The Fed does not directly set bond rates, but its actions influence them. So the Fed raises rates, bond yields usually rise. The Fed's lower rates, bond yields usually fall. The Fed buys bonds to inject liquidity and lower rates, not to profit. I think let's slow down right there. That was the hardest part for me to understand out of all of this. So I'm going to say it again, and I want you to walk with me. The United States decides it needs money. It needs more money than it has allocated from just collecting taxes. It needs more money than that. And it needs it faster. So, the Treasury decides to sell debt. We want to lend money. We don't have that money right now. But we'll pay you. If you give me a hamburger today. I will gladly pay you tomorrow. Federal Reserve is like, I got you, blood. I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to get on your feet. Now, before you do that, I do got an ounce. If you want to sell, I got an ounce. America's like, nah, we kind of got involved in the crack game in the 80s. Shit didn't work out. We got exposed. Shit looked crazy. It was embarrassing. All right, I'm just letting you know. I'm not putting it on you, but I could front you a couple of keys. No. We good. All right. All right, since you don't want to go that route, then what we could do is I could promise to sell. I will tell these other people that if I give them money on your behalf or IOU, right, and all it is a fucking wolf ticket, huh? Can you draft up some of these bitches? I'm gonna give it to the guys. They'll give it back, and you pay them some money, right? And they'll send you money ahead of time if you give them these. So I'm gonna give them this. They're gonna give me $1,000. I'm happy with the $1,000. They brought this because they say, yo, I sold that to them for $1,000 in 6 months. I'm gonna get $1,050 back. I make money on this shit. It doesn't hurt me at all. Fine. But who buys that bond back? It's the Fed. Federal Reserve. But the Fed buys the bond to inject liquidity and lower rates. So it is manipulating the system. It's literally sitting there saying, nah, we're not gonna. Not right now. It's controlling the motion of currency. And look at the root of currency. Look at the etymology of currency, to flow. They're controlling the current liquidity, the flow of money. Effectively interest free. The Fed is independent. It doesn't belong to any department, but answers ultimately to who? We could keep saying for formalities that the Fed answers to Congress, but how many times has Congress really done anything? What can you do to the fucking Fed unless you just get rid of it? So these are formalities. When you ask the chairman of the Fed to come in and it looks like you're scolding him, you're not gonna do shit. Shut up. Nobody's gonna do anything. What drives the Fed's decision? All right, now I think this might be the most important part of this whole discussion. This slide right here is the most important part of this whole discussion. The Federal Reserve's interest rate decisions are primarily guided by its dual mandate: a directive from Congress to maintain stable prices and maximum sustainability employment. All right, now here comes the conversation about where our future lies as Americans. 1. Inflation prices. The Fed aims to stable prices. If inflation is too high, they raise rates to slow spending. Let's just stop right there. What would cause inflation to be too high? One of the things that would cause inflation to be too high, and for those that don't understand, I like these. These are what we call assorted fruit sours. Oh, I love these bad boys. Those are yummy. But in reality, I only got these because the all cherry sours was not there, not available. There was only one bag of that left. The thing about it is this. If I walked into the Dollar General and I'm walking down the aisle and another guy's walking down the aisle and we don't know, we both headed towards the assorted sour candies. We get there at the same time. We get our hand on it at the same time. Big ting break out. Yo, I got here first. What you mean I got here first, yo? Manager comes out. What seems to be the problem? Yo, I put my hand on this first. There's only one bag left. But this is a janky ass manager. So he's down to clown all around the goddamn town. So he's like, alright, check it, bro. I don't have cameras because my cameras don't work. Right? Because it gets me through the loophole of insurance. I'm supposed to have cameras up. I got them shits, but them shits don't work because my cousin's trying to overcharge me because he had put me with Felipe. Yo, shut the fuck up. What are we doing here? Alright, this is what I want to say. There's only one bag left. Who wants to pay me more for it? More? This shit is $1. Okay. Out the jump, I'm like, yo, I paid $3. Stop the bullshit. Other guy leaves. He's like, I ain't paying no fucking $3. I don't want him that bad. Exactly. I do want him that bad. $3. In this particular case, less is more for the owner. Shit was only $1. But because of the scarcity, he ended up getting like $3 for shit. However, if in fact he has 100 of these shits, there is no problem when me and homeboy come walking down the aisle. There's no problem at all. He grabs one. You're not going to get your $3 off of this. There's enough for everybody. Matter of fact, there's too fucking much. It's the same with the money system. When these fucking imbeciles start asking for all type of stupid ass money to do stupid shit, and a lot of this money is being given away to their cronies, friends, relationships that they've developed overseas. They call this program foreign aid. Now, some people could reasonably say, well, we do need a presence geopolitically in certain geographic areas. Do we? Because we could focus on fucking us. Do we? But we have this foreign aid program. Quite frankly, I believe these people know that if they was very transparent on what they wanted to do with the money, American people would not even sign off on that. We would really push back. So what they have to do is hide this shit amongst 30 different bills. Right? This is why you read certain bills, you get to the bottom, you're like, $30 million for lesbian comic books in Afghanistan. What the fuck is this? This is part of the stupid ass foreign aid. But this overprinting of money, it waters down the actual currency. The currency becomes weak because we are overspending. We're overprinting the money. We have to stop spending. We have to stop printing. We need somebody that's really responsible in economics, which politicians are not. I've come to the conclusion they're just like, yo, let somebody else figure that shit out once I die. We're good. We got to get ours right now. I'm going to get mine, and then I'm going to get dual citizenship somewhere, and then fuck everybody else. Give a fuck about that shit. So, the two most important things, which is inflation, right, which will affect the price of something, as you guys seen, even with the tariffs, because nobody's going to take an L. So whereas the tariff was not specifically set on the consumer takes the brunt for that. Because the manufacturer and shipper is just going to say, okay, we'll raise the price of the product. Because I'm not going to take an L. So, once too much money is circulated into a society, and everybody has a damn dollar, then it feels like, okay, this price is, the price for this product has to go up now. Demand and supply. The Fed aims for stable prices. If inflation is too high, they raise the rates to slow spending. If too low, they lower the rates to stimulate demand. That's one problem, inflation. The second problem that we will soon see is employment, right? Now, remember, the Federal Reserve interest rate decisions are primarily guided by two things, inflation and employment. The goal is maximum employment. High unemployment leads to rate cuts to boost activity. Strong employment might see rate hikes to prevent overheating. Well, let me tell you something right now. There's definitely about to be high unemployment. How do I know that? Because there's already been signs of high unemployment, and they've been lying to you. The government came out and said just last October, November, that we miscalculated 911,000 jobs, which is roughly 1 million jobs that they lied to you about because they knew that they miscalculated. So it wasn't, they don't want to say it innocent. Let's not say it innocent like, oh, I fucked up, miscalculated 1 million jobs. No, you came out with a revision every other month. So you knew you were fucking lying about the jobs, but you didn't want to yell fire in a crowded stadium because the people would panic. Even though everybody's noticing, yo, I'm putting it in on Indeed, I'm putting it in Dice, I'm putting it in LinkedIn, I'm not getting a job nowhere. No, because the effects of automation have started. Not so much AI. When you combine automation, AI, and robotics together, you have something that the world has never seen before. And it is a true formula to take the jobs away from human beings. And capitalists are not going to be concerned themselves with that part of civics. That's not what they concern themselves about. So, unless you invite them to Davos and have some type of one-on-one with them, all of them, they don't give a fuck. If I could make $1 more money than this dweeb I play fucking golf with, that's what I'm gonna do. And if that means letting go 50,000 people so that I can get these new 1,000 robots that run all the time, I don't have to. You know how many salaries I just cut? Key data points they monitor. inflation reports, job numbers, wage growth and economic growth, overall financial stability. If that is the case, then who the hell been lying to us for the last year, 2 years? Is it this Fed agency that is not part of a government department? The Fed's challenge is a constant balancing act. Too much spending fuels inflation. Too little creates unemployment. They navigate this delicate trade-off to foster long-term economic health. How Fed rates ripple through the economy. The Federal Reserve interest rates decisions don't just stay within the banking system. They create a ripple effect that touches every corner of the economy, from large institutions to individual households. Direct impact. Banks. The federal funds rate is what banks charge each other for overnight loans, directly affecting their cost of borrowing and lending. It also influences what banks earn or pay on reserves held at the Fed. Indirect impact is what affects us. Everything else. These core bank rates then cascade through the financial system, influencing a wide array of consumer and business credit, mortgages, car loans, credit cards, business loans, and bond yields. Black man, you gotta stop rapping. No one gives a fuck about your poetry. You just gotta stop thinking this is the 80s and the fucking 90s where we give a shit about your poetry. There's real business going down, and it's gonna affect everybody. And let me tell you something right now. You're gonna be left, if this was musical chairs, you're gonna be left without a chair. You keep fucking around with a mixtape. Keep it up! We better start having some real conversations. So, was the American dream real or a story? It was real for some. European immigrants arrived with little and built businesses. The post-World War II boom created real home ownership and a rising middle class. People really did rise. It was not universal, of course. Enslaved Africans had no access. Indigenous people were displaced. Women had limited rights. The dream was selectively accessible, not evenly distributed. That part is true. It doesn't matter what white person wants to say. These people were making excuses. Don't listen to these white people. They just don't want to concern themselves with that part of the story. They will eventually just change the subject to, well, you know, this is America. You have to make your way, you make your bones. And my grandfather came over here with 2 potatoes on his feet. He did. He didn't have much. What he didn't have is people trying to sabotage him because he was a female, an indigenous person, or black skin. It was also a story. The belief attracted immigrants, motivated workers, stabilized society, and encouraged risk-taking. The story made people act, and the action created real outcomes. The American dream wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the full truth either. It worked just enough to keep everyone believing. Well, where are we going to stand today is really my question. Like, is the same opportunity there? Has America run its course? Because one of the things that helped stabilize the economy was the fact that Henry Kissinger helped on the petrodollar deal, where these Arab countries would exclusively sell the energy and US dollars. However, that was for like a 50-year agreement. And the 50 years is now up, and the Arabs have not renewed their contract to exclusively sell petrol and American dollars. So now we have new conversations about new currencies, BRICS, new partnerships, new options. Let's say new options. But I'm going to tell you one option that's not necessarily on the table. And that option is the dollar. If it was on the table, then the contract would have been renewed. So that's one of the signs that you should consider when shifting your consciousness, changing your mindset, not doing things like we did it in the 2000s, 1990s. That time period is over. Here's the thing. Housing has gone up, but wages has not significantly risen with that can match the increase of how much the housing market has gone up. So not only has wages have not risen with the market, it has risen significantly slower than the market. That's one thing. The second thing is jobs are being eroded due to evolution, technology. Has anyone considered this in their formula? Or is it just a fucking free for all right now and everyone is scrambling trying to figure out which way do we go? Give me a second. I want to check something. Okay. Does the same American dream exist in 2026? Well, like I said, land was cheap and available. Work, buy land, build wealth. That was a linear path. Direct production, food, trade, rent. Physical control. Nobody can algorithm your land away. That was the earlier formula. Now, housing prices versus income are way off, like I just said. Debt is baked into the path of success, right? If you want to truly be successful, they did have it marketed as you would had to go to college. I don't think many people agree with that anymore, or even see the reasoning behind it. But if you want a job, I can tell you this. They're going to want to see some type of credentials, right? So it's dead off the bat. You could go your own way, start your own business. I can't see that name. I'm going to just say Loose 2. Loose 2 says it's never been a thing, the American dream. I'm going to say no. The same American dream does not exist for the majority of people in 2026 for reasons that I have already said. Let's see where we're at. We're at 2 hours and 4 minutes. That's good. because that's my show for today. You understand? What I'm going to continue to do is keep my show around the 2-hour mark, and I'm going to continue to try to come with good conversations for the portfolio, right? And all you have to do, if you're out there, this is your first time watching me, I'm not politically correct. So if you can't handle my politically incorrectness, do not subscribe. However, I will have good conversations for you. So you can subscribe if you like. Shout out to everybody. You can hit the like button. Give a few shout outs. We got Roby in the building. Winter is in the building. Winter, did you just get here? This effing guy says when they killed pensioners, they killed unions. We are in for a hell of a ride. Let me tell you that. All right, so that's going to be my show for today. I appreciate it. Appreciate everybody. I'm going to go out and handle some business. Actually, I might be back tonight. We might talk about Project Stargate. I don't know.
I understand now. Oh,
thanks for coming through, people.
I want, words manifest at the same time, man down before your next step, just chill. Get it planned out, it's hard to blend in at the same time, stand out. But who am I, just another inner city brother. Dope fiend for a mother. Pups got married, but the streets was his lover. Addicted to the alleys, well-known bun jumper. Addicted to the valleys, half moon, hard summer. Wildin' for the night, hard news, face puncher. Moet shine down, tap the top like a drummer. For those that we lost in the land of the young gunners, it's a privilege to reach this age and still living. Age where the average is dying in small digits. Walk the wrong block, get spent like a fidget. Pray the spirits find rest where the reapers can't visit. I pray that the light comes and saves me. Oh, cause I swear I would take that ride this time to places I've dreamt about lately. Yeah, I got dreams in me too. Yeah, I pray that the light comes and saves me. Cause I swear I would take that ride this time. My